Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you've ever poured endless hours into your business, checking the numbers every single morning, only to see a flat line instead of that explosive growth you know you're capable of, well, you are absolutely not alone. It is incredibly frustrating, right? Feeling like you're doing all the right things, but you're just stuck in survival mode. So today, we're going to unpack the ultimate step-by-step roadmap for scaling your brand out of that grueling survival stage and into an immortal global legacy. Okay, here is our game plan for today. First up, the paradigm shift. Second, the psychology of selling. Third, we'll map out the 7 levels of evolution. Fourth, building a content empire. And finally, exactly how to dominate premium global markets. Let's dive right into part 1, the paradigm shift, and why we need to completely break the old rules of business. To scale effectively, we actually have to shatter a really comforting but totally outdated idea. And that's the myth that the market just automatically rewards the hardest worker with the absolute best physical product. Think back to the industrial era. Back then, if you built a slightly faster car or a stronger hammer and you outworked everyone in your town, you won. Simple as that. But in our modern digital reality, the rules are completely flipped. The internet has infinite shelf space. That means you aren't competing with the store down the street anymore, you're competing against the entire world. In an environment flooded with identical products, the modern economy absolutely rewards the smartest storyteller. The entrepreneur who knows how to craft a compelling narrative, build a strong brand, and leverage AI to scale their efforts, they are going to completely obliterate a traditional business that relies purely on local hustle. Think about this for a second. Apple sells emotions, not phones. Nike sells identity, not shoes. Tesla sells the future, not cars. When was the last time you bought a really high-end smartphone or some premium sneakers? You probably weren't agonizing over the exact processing power or the chemical makeup of the rubber on the sole. You were buying a feeling. You bought the feeling of being creative or the identity of an elite athlete. The world's largest global giants figured this out a long time ago. They are not product companies anymore. They are psychological companies. That brings us perfectly to part 2, the psychology of selling and why we truly buy. So if pure logic is dead and human emotion actually rules the premium markets, we really have to understand what triggers someone to open their wallet. People fundamentally buy because of how something makes them feel or the transformation it offers them. Let's look at the vast difference between buying for status versus escaping pain. Someone might buy a luxury watch simply to signal their status and confidence to the world, right? Just to show they've made it. But someone else might buy a highly specialized premium software tool just to escape the agonizing pain of spending 10 hours a week on manual data entry. Whether it's hope, confidence, transformation, or just escaping a daily headache, your success completely depends on shifting your focus away from the boring, physical features of what you sell and zeroing in entirely on the emotional payoff you deliver. All right, part 3. This is the core of it all, the blueprint and the 7 levels of business evolution. This is your step-by-step roadmap to scale, and it is entirely driven by specific triggers that act like a catapult from one level to the next. Imagine starting right at level 1, survival. You're grinding just to pay the bills, trading your time directly for money. The friction here is just immense. But the trigger to escape? Acquiring high-level skills, learning marketing, sales, and AI. That pushes you to level 2. Now you have the skills, but the trigger to reach level 3 is building a brand. This is huge because it lets you stop competing on price and start competing on value. From there, creating consistent content acts as the trigger to hit level 4, which gives you true inbound power. As people gather around your content, cultivating that audience into a dedicated community unlocks level 5. Once you have a genuine movement, the next trigger is creating systems. You automate your operations so the business grows while you're literally sleeping, bringing you to level 6. And finally, those systems become so robust, they scale into level 7, an immortal legacy with complete market domination. Now, I really want to highlight the transition into level 4 because this is where explosive modern growth truly kicks in. Creating emotional, educational content fundamentally shifts the basic mechanics of your business. You transition from that exhausting daily grind of pushing your message outward, cold calling, chasing leads, begging for attention, to having customers effortlessly pull towards you. You become a magnet. When you educate and inspire, the buyer's journey happens before they ever even speak to you, which completely changes the economics and the stress levels of running your brand. Let's move to part 4, building a content empire, using the weapons of the attention economy. We operate in the attention economy now.
This is an environment where capturing an audience's attention isn't just nice to have, it is the absolute necessary first step. Think of attention as the new oil. It's raw, it's abundant, and it's incredibly valuable, but it has to be refined. Smart businesses extract that attention, and they refine it into deep trust by consistently delivering value. That trust is then bottled into a loyal community, and naturally, a dedicated community scales into massive sustainable revenue. It's a simple formula, really. If they watch you, you can sell. And if they emotionally connect with you, you dominate.
But how do you actually capture that attention? Well, we rely on the viral business framework. These are the 4 core psychological reasons people actually hit that share button. First is emotion, making them feel something profound. Second is identity, crafting a message so precise that someone literally thinks, wow, this is me. They perfectly understand my life. Third is inspiration, showcasing a real achievable transformation. And finally, shock, breaking their expectations and interrupting their scrolling patterns. When you master these 4 pillars, I'm telling you, even a solo entrepreneur armed with nothing but a laptop can outreach and outcompete a giant, slow-moving corporation. Finally, part 5, dominating premium global markets like the US, UK, Canada, and Australia. Now that you command attention, the ultimate goal is adapting your entire operation to thrive in highly lucrative international arenas. The psychological difference between a local buyer and a premium global buyer is vast. Let's say someone is hiring a local mechanic. They might haggle over the price of an oil change, but a premium global customer in the US or UK, they are paying to solve high-stakes problems. They prioritize value, premium lifestyle, speed, and above all, trust. If a business competes solely on price, uses confusing branding, or takes days to reply to an email, they are trapped in a race to the bottom. Premium markets demand a premium emotional connection. So, to actually play and win in these premium markets, you have to deliberately project specific value signals. First, think premium to attract serious buyers who respect your expertise and won't nickel and dime you. Second, think fast. Answering an inquiry in 5 minutes instead of 5 days, that builds an unbelievable amount of trust across time zones because speed implies extreme competence. Third, think visual. Your aesthetics must be high-end because, let's be honest, people absolutely judge the quality of your work by the design of your brand. Fourth, think emotional, prioritizing the feelings your service evokes over a dry, boring list of features. And finally, think long-term. Signaling these exact traits clearly tells the world that you are a permanent elite player on the global stage. Now, the bridge between where you are sitting right now and that total global domination is what we call the 1% rule. Improving your business, your branding, and your storytelling by just 1% every single day is how empires are actually forged. It connects those massive, lofty goals to your unglamorous daily habits. Small, daily consistency, especially when you combine it with the compounding leverage of AI tools, will make your operations utterly unrecognizable in the best way possible in just a few short years.
Let's look at this quote. The market does not pay you for effort. It pays you for value. Now, I know that sounds a bit harsh, but it is actually an incredibly empowering realization. You are not chained to a desk for 80 hours a week just to prove you're a hard worker. The market honestly doesn't care about your sweat or how many hours of sleep you lost. It cares about the solutions you provide. When you fully embrace that you are compensated solely for the perceived value you signal to the world, you are finally set free. You can focus on what actually moves the needle instead of just doing busy work.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final dramatic choice to think about. 5 years from now, will you say, I wish I had started, or I'm so grateful I never gave up? I want you to really sit with that. The global business empire you've been imagining, it's entirely possible, and the roadmap is right in front of you. Those 5 years are going to pass regardless of what you do next. So will you look back with regret, or will you be profoundly grateful that you took the leap, mastered the psychology, and built your legacy? The choice is entirely yours. Thanks so much for learning with me today, and go start building that empire.